All right. Hello, my fellow veterans out there. How you all doing today? Yes, as usual, the chat will be on. So if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in there. And I know you've heard me talk about veteran suicide a lot. And well, today's show is not only about veteran suicide, but suicide in general. And there's an event that's going to be happening this Saturday, September 23rd, from 11 to 2 p.m. downtown Cleveland at Willard Park. For all of you not familiar with Willard Park, it's where the free stamp is. So, all of you who are not in Ohio and are watching the show, just Google free stamp Cleveland, Ohio. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Today, we have a very special guest to help promote this event. We have Matt Eck. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's good to be here again with you.
Yes. For those who don't know, Matt came on one of the earlier shows to promote a resource fair that happened on Armed Forces Day at a nonprofit called Ridall Farms in Cleveland. And that was a very successful event, I thought.
Yeah, it was. We had a lot of great things during that event, and not only just resources for veterans, but anytime I have an event, working with the Cavs, we like to bring a little bit more to these events than just a resource fair. So, on that one, we had a basketball clinic for the kids in the community. We had the hockey set up. We had chalk art, fire trucks, as well as the farm tours, the veteran hoop house, and the food inside. And it was good. It was a good event. And this one, I know, Tim, you had this idea and secured the permit, and then kind of reached out for a little bit of help. And we had a number of your colleagues and a number of this community, a number of people in this community just step up and say, hey, let's get this done. So this Saturday from 11 to 2, it's the rally against suicide, and we're gonna have food. We're gonna get hot dogs and serve them up on the grill, meat and vegetarian. For anybody who doesn't eat meat, we'll have the vegetarian on the separate side of the grill. We'll have the chips, water, soda. We want to invite people in and have markers and signs and post signs. We know that the Pickle Fest, which is said to draw about 16,000 people, is 2 blocks away, which is great. That's fantastic. That will give us the ability to reach more people as they're passing through the area. And then I don't know what time people start getting in that Muni lot on Saturday for Sunday's Browns game, but I know last home game that parking lot was full on Saturday night, and so we're hoping that traffic at East 9th and Lakeside, going down to the Browns Muni lot and going over to Pickle Fest is going to be a lot of traffic, so that they can come in and people can get those resources, and maybe they're feeling a certain type of way, or maybe they have family members that are feeling a certain type of way. We'll have, chalk art. We'll have a DJ. We'll be just going with lots of positive messages, and we'll have our professionals there that anybody can come up and get resources and, positivity, health, suicide prevention. Those resources are the Black Mental Health Corporation, Irreverent Warriors, Mu Beta Phi military fraternity.
Oh, yes.
VA will be there, their suicide prevention. Neopat, which is a great organization that supports a lot of this, and they're along with the Cavs, are giving monetary donations for the food and the items that is going to be out there. NAMI Cleveland, they are hosting their mental health awareness walk at Edgewater Park in that morning. They will not be able to attend this event, but they sent resources to me to be able to print and hand out to them. And that's a great organization for people to get involved with, just on an overall side, not just on the military side. Soul Natural is uh, a, a, a company that is, wanting people to, you know, uh, be proactive as it comes to their health. Sometimes,
Yes.
a lot of what we have in the United States is a reactive. You get hurt or something happens, you go to the hospital. But Soul Natural is a company that's focused on proactive financial wellness as well as health and all those things and those benefits that come with just being proactive and taking care of yourself. And then I also heard Sheepdog is coming, which is an organization that takes veterans and gets them out and puts them in an environment in nature, and will take you to on a retreat.
Oh,
And that's one that I've just become familiar with. And then we're waiting to see who else is going to join us. Obviously
yes.
I'll be there, and we'll have a number of different organizations that will come on board as we go. And we'll be facing the East Ninth and Lakeside on that side of the free stamp, so we're very visible. And we just want people to come and interact and
Yes.
enjoy a hot dog, grab some resources. If you're military or you're just part of the community, come on in, enjoy the music, put in a request,
Yes.
uh, have a hot dog, get some chips, and if you're going to the Pickle Fest, then head on down, because that thing looks amazing too.
But don't forget to create a positive message poster before you go to the Pickle Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to let people know one of the reasons why I decided to try to put this together, and I want to thank you and Lucy, who unfortunately cannot join us tonight, um, helped me finally get this put together, because I would not have been able to do this without the two of you. Because as a lot of people know, my health has not been good lately. So there was times where I didn't even think I could get out of bed, but I kind of improved a bit here. So, but I had reached out to Congressman Dave Joyce, Congresswoman Amelia Sykes, Sherrod Brown. Matter of fact, every politician in the state of Ohio. Most of them replied back. And the reason I contacted them was I had noticed that, well, September is National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. There is not an official Veteran Suicide Awareness or Prevention Day. And I think it's important to have that. Um, Even though they say the VA is saying veteran suicide is dropping, the numbers are dropping. Private organizations are saying that it has at least doubled in the last 2 years. So, trying to get the public more aware of what's happening with veterans was one of my main goals, and asking them to try to get a Veteran Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day in the month of September. Now, the House of Representatives, your congressmen and congresswomen, they cannot vote on a resolution of this type. Don't know why, they just can't. So, Congressman Joyce got a hold of Senator Sherrod Brown, who I also contacted, and I've been working with these two men for quite a while with dealing with the PACT Act and a few other veteran issues, and them two have written a resolution, and it is heading to the floor here very soon. They're just waiting on the final approval, and then it's going to go on the floor. And we think we got enough support to where it's going to pass immediately. So I thought it'd be a good idea to also have a rally around the same time that this becomes law, to kind of celebrate that as well. And again, I want to thank you and Lucy for coming on board, kind of taking things over for me and helping get this event to become a reality.
Well, thank you for starting it, and your courageous battles, just going with your health, and I know myself, just travel just wears you down, and you, despite all the things that have happened, and your health, have been traveling and just so selfless and going to DC, and back and forth. And I remember checking on you, and you're like, where are you now? And you're here, you're there, you're back, you're that, like, oh, I
Yeah.
just made a stop by the hospital, but I'm going by DC, and then flying out to Vegas to do, that those fundraisers for the veterans that, are affected by the Area 51, the testing that happened out there. And you've done the work, and you saw this vision. And when I saw that you sent that email and saying, hey, I got the good news, I got the permit, bad news, I'm gonna cancel, I have to cancel this. And it was like, no, you're not. Like, we have so many great organizations, and just people that we've come across, that nobody was going to let this die. So, we were there on Tuesday at the City of Cleveland Veterans Collaborative, is the group that meets at Ridall Green Partnership on Tuesdays. And it was a number of people that rallied to make this as easy as possible. And we're starting to get good at at these turnkey events.
Yes.
We're also getting better at planning, and getting further out. So we look forward to having this on Saturday, and having it be a little bit different of an event, like a fun event. We're going to have like cornhole and Jenga, and things where, we got to think about our own mental health as well.
Right.
We're on the grind. We're always doing these things for others. But let's enjoy everybody that comes up, free hugs. Let's
Yes.
enjoy each other's company. Let's make sure that we're okay in all of this. And I thank you for your vision in doing this, because, I was looking to the next event, which was our Veterans Day Resource Fair at Frederick Douglass on November 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just give a plug for that, from 11 to 2. And we're looking at that. We're looking at our Veterans Day parade on November 10th, as well as that ceremony that's going to take place. So if anybody, wants to get involved on those events, and then a forum at the City Club sometime in November, hopefully we're able to do that. But, you were thinking about the well-being, like you always are, of our community, and we're not just stopping at military veterans. We're inviting everybody in, and thank you for that. We did lose one of our National Guard members earlier this year, and that person was at our Reverend Warrior Walk last year. And it just shows you how quickly things can change, and
Right.
that support, and that positive messaging, and that professional support on top of that is so important and crucial. And knowing the right things to do, when and looking for the right signs, and then knowing the right things to do in our 988, which is a national initiative. And we're starting to hopefully turn the corner on our mental health in this country, having a national hotline where anybody can call at any time. And I hope it's responsive, and I hope it's working.
Well, from talking with several officials from the VA here recently on 988, it's actually working a lot better than the old system did. You're guaranteed to get a licensed counselor on the line with you when you call 988 now. Where before, sometimes you got placed on hold right away, or you got a voicemail and somebody had to call you back, or they asked you to dial another number. So I'm glad they got rid of that old system, and this new system seems to be working good. Now, some of the a lot of people who watch this podcast know about my brother Dennis. 22 years ago this past Christmas Eve. He was a Vietnam and Gulf War veteran, and he decided to take his own life. And I've been trying to raise awareness about veteran suicide ever since then. A lot of phone calls to the VA and a lot of politicians back in the day who really didn't care. Um, I do I do know we do have some politicians here in the state of Ohio who actually do care now. So that is why we're going to finally get the official day. But I had to, with some of the other congressmen here in Ohio, I had to give them a lot of stats. So I did a lot of research, and these numbers are extremely shocking. You might be hearing these for the very first time, Matt, and a lot of my audience members are probably for the very first time too. Is 95% of all veteran suicides happen within the first 2 years of separation from the military. It drops to 85% within the first 6 months, 6 years of separation. After that, 75% of all veteran suicides happen in a VA facility. The VA says that's wrong, but other people who have done the research says no, it's 75% happen at VA facilities. Now, these numbers that people are coming up with, don't, I can't trust to be 100% accurate because there are some states that don't even report veteran suicide. Ohio's one of them. Ohio recently dropped veteran suicide reporting altogether. Some states, they'll say when a veteran commits suicide, they don't call it suicide, they just call it accidental death. So we don't know in these states how many are actual suicides and how many are actual accidental deaths. So I'm hoping with this new resolution, when it passes, that these states will stop fudging the numbers and actually come out and say, hey, yes, we do have a problem in our state with veteran suicide. These are the actual numbers. So we can actually see how bad this, I call it a epidemic. I think it's really bad because um, veterans are only maybe 1 to 2% of the national population. But yet, the suicide rate for veterans is almost triple what the national rate is. So, by hopefully by making people aware that this is a problem, and not only that, but I think you'll agree with me, the stigma of anybody going to mental health needs to change. I think you'll admit, and everybody that's going to be watching or listening to this later on will admit that when they hear that somebody's going to mental health, oh, they're crazy. Oh, why are they going to mental? They don't need, mental health's bad. They need to be locked up. When no, that's all wrong. If they were crazy, they wouldn't be seeking help. So,
Yeah, I think and this is just a personal opinion, we need to look at mental health the same way we look at what is a positive physical health regime.
mm-hmm.
And you're taught that you need to work out 3 times a week, and for this amount of time, and a balanced diet, and that food is medicine, and that affects your mental health as well.
Right.
But everywhere we look, um, I know in the military, you have people who are willing to help you physically, and there's health monitors, and there's people that can run with you early in the morning or encouraged to work out with. I think we need to institute that as the same way as a mental health person. You know, like in on the physical side of the world, um, you know, you have those people that are, you know, just superior physical health and they help you, but they're not professionals. And then you have
Mhm.
professional trainers, and then you have doctors. And I think that same mentality needs to be laid out on our in our civilian world and our military world of practitioners of mental health. Like where are they? You know, hey, we're gonna go ahead and meditate. You know, and there's these people,
Mhm.
and just kind of be front and center and be like, hey, we're gonna go do some yoga 3 times a week if you'd like to join us. You know, that's a mental and a physical thing. Or hey, you know, more practitioners of meditation or just positive thoughts and positive things that you can do for your mind. I don't think that's out there enough yet, and I
Right.
think that it needs to be modeled in the same way that we try to take care of our physical health. And you know, obviously, we're not going to replace those professionals. We need those professionals at those highest levels. But what are the
Mhm.
proactive steps and what are the proactive approaches that we can do to give more people the tools to help others on the mental health space and get more people out there talking about this and start being you know, the same thing as the food as medicine thing is getting out there and meditating and and doing all that on an end before you start to feel those symptoms, because when you do hit a rough patch in life, you're at least equipped a little bit better to deal
Mhm.
with it because you've done it in the past while you were well.
That's right. And one of the things I'm trying to do with all this too is I want to start a little national program, so to speak. And I just want everybody, when you're walking down the street and you see a stranger and they just happen to be, you know, down some or look like they just happen to be out for, down and out a bit, even a home, if they look to be homeless, if they are actually homeless, just ask, are you okay? That's it. Ask if they're okay. Doesn't even have to be a stranger, it could be a family member. They may seem happy all the time. Just ask them though, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Chances are you're going to find out that they're not okay and that, yes, they do need help. You may not be able to supply the help they need, but you, by asking if they're okay, just started the process of them being, hey, yeah, I do need help. Yes, my depression has gotten the best of me. I do need help. That's it. Just ask, are you okay? I watched a documentary with my wife, maybe not even a year ago. I'm not going to mention who the documentary was about, but it was two famous people, and the wife said that her husband's family were being discriminating against her and everything, and us, and they came out in public saying, "Hey, look, we offered her help," but she said not one of them asked if she was okay. It was her husband and a couple of their friends who went to her and say, "Are you okay?" And she realized that she wasn't. So that's why I'm kind of stealing this from that individual, but I think it fits the way our society is today. Everybody looking out for themselves, but they don't take care of themselves. But they also don't take time to look, double check up on their families or their friends. So that's one of the reasons why I think this Saturday is very important. Say, hey, look, are you okay? That's all they got to do. Are you okay? And that was one of the things too that while I was advocating for the PACT Act, a lot of the times I think it was more the physical aspect, not the mental. But John Stewart would always come up to me and ask if I was okay. Are you okay? Is there anything I can get you? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to talk to somebody? Are you okay? And I tell you what, that helped me a lot through those times. So that's one of the reasons why I want to start this too. Hope everybody nationwide just take take some time, slow down a bit, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself if you're okay. You might surprise yourself with the answers you give yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a key. You said slow down. Um,
Yes.
I've been to Europe a couple times militarily, and you know, you take different things from different cultures that you come across, and you're like, I really like that. And when somebody goes out for tea or for coffee in Europe, like you're sitting down
Mm-hmm.
for an hour, and you're just sitting there and you're just talking. When we go out to get tea in this country, at least my experiences, or coffee, you're rushing. You're like, all right, I got to get going, and you get over there. You're standing in a line at Starbucks or
Yep.
whatever, some other coffee shop. You get your stuff, you rush back, and then you get back to your computer or whatever you're doing, and you start going after it again. And you just spent a couple bucks, and yeah, you did take a little bit of a break, but did you
Yeah,
really
exactly. Did you really take one?
sit
Did
back,
you
take a bit, like you just jumped into doing something else, which is that mission for that coffee, and then get it back and get back to work, where sometimes it just needs to be tea
That's right.
time, and let's just sit down and chat and just see how you are. And a book that I got into recently, and I got to open back up because even just some of the things I liked and I jotted down, was a Think Like a
Mm.
Monk, and just going through that, and just that mindfulness of, he talked about chewing your drink, uh, um, and drinking your food,
Mhm.
where it's like you eat it, you taste it, and you really think about what you're doing, and what you're enjoying the food, and then when you're going to sip, instead of just sipping the drink, you're sipping the taste, and 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 that goes for so many aspects of life. And I know I'm guilty of it, and I need to do better myself, of just kind of slowing down, and not throwing myself into so many different things, and just kind of sitting back, and smell the roses, and just take a look, maybe drive, and just calm
Mhm.
breaths, and not have the radio on, not having to be rushed, and not having to think about 8 million things. And it's tough. It's tough, but we are going to a certain destruction if we keep moving at the pace that we're moving, and trying to multitask, which we know that's a
Right.
farce. That we need to slow down, and we need to relax, and we need to enjoy each other, and every breath that we're allowed to take on this earth. And that's the key. I think we just got to keep going, and keep searching for those tools, and keep learning how to take care of ourselves in a better
Right.
way. And uh, and we'll be better off for that, and we'll be able to help each other, because we all know that we're going to hit rough patches, and no matter how put together somebody looks, and we know social media is a huge
Yep.
detractor, and looking at our teens, and just the way our kids are growing up, and even to a certain extent ourselves in looking at the Joneses and what they have, and not worrying about
Mhm.
it because you don't know how they acquired that or if it's just a facade. But just sitting back and enjoying life and just slowing down is going
Mhm.
to be key.
And that's what I hope happens Saturday when people come to the event. Is they just slow down, take the load off their feet, cop a squat in a chair somewhere in the park, enjoy a hot dog, listen to the music, and hopefully meet some new people. Hopefully people socialize. Say, "Hey, my name's Tim. How are you?" And, and those people, you know, relate back to them. And but you gotta admit that's one thing that our society's been missing as well: the communication, the uh, between strangers in this country is kind of non-existent anymore. Pretty much all you see these days is what they call Karens, and I don't know what the male version of that is, where all people do is just complain and bitch.
Well, like
You know,
that's part of our social media and the reshare
yeah.
button, and the random acts of kindness, to steal the line from Ricky Smith, who's a
Hmm.
who's a Cleveland native. Random acts of kindness everywhere. Look them up. But that's what gets the attention, right?
Yes.
And the shares, and just think about not sharing that crap next time you see it, and focus on the positive people, because I think that even just how we're getting this political divide in this country, that is not who we are, and that's
Mm.
not who the people that I talk to. And how many people do you run into on a daily basis that are acting like that? I hardly
Right.
come across anybody that that is acting like that in any context. So that is what we're portraying and putting out there, but I don't think that's where we really are.
Hmm.
It just seems divisive, and people start drawing lines. Oh, did you see that? Do you see this? Like, no, no, I
I don't.
actually didn't see it. Like, it
Mm-mm.
was on this screen that gets shared. This most ridiculous stuff gets shared millions and millions of times, and all those views. And it's just it's not. I want to believe that that's the minority, and the majority of people are great people who would stop and help you at any moment, and that stuff doesn't get shared enough.
That's true. It doesn't. And so that's why I'm hoping Saturday people greet each other, introduce themselves to each other. And, hey, random game of cornhole with a stranger. There you go.
Indeed.
And,
Free hugs.
there's some people who you kind of mentioned, but um, I think we need to throw out some props to an organization here for making a nice donation for Saturday's event. And I believe that's Neopat.
Neopat and the Cavaliers.
All right. And so what did they do?
So we wanted to get those free hot dogs and the signs, the chips, the soda, sidewalk chalk, and they each donated money for the purposes for those purposes. So I'll be going on Friday to go get that stuff. We're gonna go to Costco and
There we
get
go.
as much food as we possibly can, to grill up some dogs, and make sure that people come in and they can get a little snack uh, during the day, whether they're going to Pickle Fest or not.
There you go. Or if they just don't want to hang out at the uni lot, waiting for the Browns game Sunday.
Yeah, come
Waiting.
on up, get away from that that fun chaos for a little bit, and say hi and hang out, play some cornhole, play some Jenga, listen to some music, wander around the city. It should be a good time. Bring some camping chairs and just hang out.
Now, if you happen to be from Northeast Ohio and you're going to go visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Saturday in between 11 and 2 o'clock, we're only, a block and a half, at the most 2 blocks from the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, come spend some time with us, then go check out the stars and stuff. So, one of the things I wanted to touch on was, I've already mentioned my brother, so people do know that my family's been personally touched by suicide. And I'm hoping that other families that have had members commit suicide come down and talk with us come Saturday. And one of the reasons why is because the stories, I think, are going to be very helpful. Because when it comes to loved ones, yeah, you see a little change, but you don't see the the words I'm looking for, the signs that they're on that path of taking their own lives. Because we were blindsided. We didn't realize, until after the fact. So if family members can come and tell their stories, maybe you can be helping another family out to prevent a suicide happening in their family. Because if we had known the warning signs a little bit more than we did back in the early 90s, then we might have been able to save my brother. But we we really didn't see too many signs, to be honest with you. So that's one of the things I hope happens Saturday. Some of the families that have survived, that have had somebody commit suicide in their families, come down and talk with us so we can get their stories out, so it can help raise awareness that way, so people can learn what the warning signs are. Say, hey, yeah, I think my family member just might be, or my friend might be going down that path. So I'm sure there will be people with resources there on how to handle a situation like that. I know Veterans Veterans Assurance Network will have some information about the warning signs and what to do if a family member or a friend do start showing those signs. So, so I'm asking families to come on down and tell us your stories.
Yeah, I think the key thing that is families too. Like, this is family friendly, and
Mm-hmm.
um, we're gonna want the kids, and put
Yes,
positive messages on the sidewalk.
that's
It'll be
right.
a busy weekend downtown. I don't think it's supposed to rain, so even when
No,
you
it's
got,
actually supposed to be beautiful Saturday.
and then in the Sunday, is it supposed to be nice too?
Yes,
Um,
I do believe. I forgot to bring my phone down with me, so
because once we put those messages on the sidewalk, and we know that there'll be 50 to 60,000 people downtown. They might not take that sidewalk, so what, maybe 20.
yeah.
We can leave a positive impact, just as we are vacating the area, but the impact will last in the people that we interacted with, and the messaging on the sidewalks, um, for days and days and days, until maybe it won't rain for 4 or 5 days, and on Monday, you have people downtown working, and just hopefully that makes just a little bit of difference in everyone's lives.
Now, I don't mean to get off course about the event Saturday, but since you did mention the Cavaliers actually had an event somewhere else in the world. I think it was yesterday, uh, Andy Varejao opened up a center down in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to see the video of it that just shortly before coming on the air, and I think that's a fantastic, fantastic uh, thing that the Cavaliers and Andy did down in Brazil. And do you know much about that facility?
I know a little bit about it. I know that's been in the works for a few years now. Knowing Andy, because I've been with the Cavaliers a little bit, a long time, from when Andy was here in his first stint back in. Well, I started in 2006, 2007. So I've worked with Andy over the years, and just the nicest person. And his heart has been in two places, in Brazil, obviously growing up, and in Cleveland. And him coming back to the organization means a lot to all of us. And then the organization working with him in Brazil, I know means a lot to him and us. And there was a month and a half ago, the dedication of other courts in Brazil, and then this one is even closer to Andy's heart because it's where he grew up, and he's been able to, basketball has given a lot to him,
Yes.
and he's able to then use that to give back to young people just like him growing up in the same area. And I know that, you know, Andy is always and has always been smiles, except for when he's battling on the basketball court.
Mhm.
And
Well,
he's just,
even then he's smiling because he's out there having fun.
he is. But you could tell it's just it's a little bit bigger now, that he's been doing so much meaningful work along with this organization. Um, it's just fun to see, and it's fun to
Yes.
see my teammates at the Cavaliers be able to interact with Andy and get to know him the same way I got to know him over the years. And what a just great opportunity to influence and put the impact on the Cleveland market and the Cleveland area, but also in Brazil and wherever else, the journey takes the Cavaliers organization, the Monsters organization, the
Mhm.
Legion, the Charge. I know there's so many amazing people that are working so hard to just make an impact of positivity in the world, whether it be, just exposing everyone they can and giving opportunities in areas that may not have opportunities in our own country, and like Brazil, that impacts
Mhm.
Andy's life so much, and so many people around the world. So yeah,
Yes.
it's great, and it makes, when you think about, the things that we're able to accomplish, and that organization allows the team member resource group, allows me time to represent the Cavaliers organization in the community and do these partnerships. That is, I'm only one person, and there's so many in so many different communities, um, that hopefully is making an impact in people's lives, and looking at the organization and saying like, oh, the organization does care about me.
Mhm. And one of the reasons I brought that up is because I know there when he first retired, he was kind of going through, well, what do I do now? And that's what a lot of veterans do happens to them when they first get out of the military. Like, what do I do now? They find a job, they go to work, but the structure that they're used to isn't there anymore, where everybody has a common goal. It's
Hmm.
it's it's not there in the civilian world for them. And nice. I think we see this a lot in professional athletes. Um, when they first get out of like pro football or pro basketball, even baseball, they're like, well, what do I do now? Because that structure that is a big, huge part of their life is no longer there. And, like going to practice every day, traveling for games. That's one of the things that when my dad played pro baseball, he said he missed the most when he quit was the travel. I don't know if you know the story. My dad played pro baseball for the Boston Braves. So you know how old my dad was. He played 2 years. He met my mom. He says, "Yeah, this isn't for a family man." So because only certain guys made money, and he had to share a hotel room with 10 guys. When they went on the road. So he got out of baseball when he met my mom because he knew she was the one. So, um, but and he said that's one of the things he missed. It was like going to practice every day, to travel, going. Everything was laid out and planned for them. And then when he quit baseball altogether, that was gone. And that's what happens to a lot of the military folks when they first get out. You know, you don't hear reveille anymore in the mornings. So it's so you know you you, you don't have um um morning fall in where formation. I'm not sure what they call it in the army, where the commander goes over and he checks to make sure you're compliant with grooming and uniform regulations. And in the Air Force it was 3510, and make sure you're compliant. All that's gone. Everybody, you go to work in a factory or some sort of business. Everybody has a different goal on why they're there. You hear so many different people complaining about this, complaining about that, where you didn't hear that when you were in the military. Um, you know, everybody goes to lunch at a different time. We're in the military, we all went to lunch at the same time. I'm not sure if you guys do in the Army, but in the Air Force, most of us went. We split it up into two sections. So most of the people you worked with, you went to lunch with too. So it the camaraderie just isn't there. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's why it's tough. You gotta try to find that,
Yeah.
and some of the organizations do a better job at it than others. And there's the cadence of things, and how efficient people are in the military, and just how things are done. And when you get the mission, you go and it's nothing but that mission, and you're all rowing, hopefully not all the time, but most of the time you're rowing in the same direction. Whereas in the civilian world, it can be an adjustment. Things can be a little bit slower, which we've talked about maybe as a good thing, but it's an adjustment period for people who served in the military. And then just how people conduct themselves and the expectations can be extremely different, and it can be whiplash for you,
Yes.
just to hit the brakes, and like, what is happening here? And then uh, that common bond of that common mission, and that sense that you're doing something greater than you're appealing, depending on how long you're in, or maybe not, um, that cause, and that you're all contributing to something bigger than yourself. It's hard to find that in certain roles.
Right.
And I think that probably brings to another point. When you come down there, interact, but also there's some great organizations to belong to. I know Mu Beta Phi is a military fraternity, and there's lots of good brotherhood there.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Irreverent Warriors, where they have a hike every year, which is I took partake in it this year. It was a 10-mile hike through the city of Cleveland, and it was amazing. We had people from all over the country, and there were people that I met that I've watched since it was like August, what? It was about a month ago that that
Yes.
hike was. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people do like 3 or 4 hikes since then. And they're going to this hike and they're going to that hike. There's Team RWB, which is out there, and they do athletic stuff. I haven't interacted with them a whole lot, but I see them getting that purpose. So, it's okay to get out of the military and find a job because you need to take care of yourself and you need to earn that paycheck, but it may not necessarily be fulfilling that need for something greater than yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
come talk to me, come talk to, yourself, Tim.
Yep.
There's plenty to do. And I believe in this. NACP is the one who plucked me out after dealing with them, and working together with them at the Wolstein Center. I was already a member, and they're like, we want you to chair our veteran services committee. And I was like, you want me to do it, huh? And it's been great ever since. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad that they and Danielle Sidnor saw this. And I called Mike Johnson the one day, and I was like, hey, NACP wants me to do this. Will you do this with me? And he's like, yeah. And I asked him, I'm like, have you started giving back to veterans yet? And he's like, no, not really, but I have ideas. And so I hadn't, I was looking at, not to pigeonhole myself on, like veterans
Mm-hmm.
causes. But it was too easy for me and all the connections and knowing what I know to be successful at this particular um, endeavor, which is helping veterans and helping the community. And I always try to look at what other demographics need to be helped along with the veterans. And so we've made great inroads, and we're working with the Black community, the LGBT community, the Hispanic community,
Mm-hmm.
as well as veterans, and needs help. Um, but the veterans community is definitely in need of help. And on the flip side of that, the veterans community is the one that can help the most because of the skill set and the training, that if we have healthy veterans in our community and we work to create that camaraderie, that
Mm-hmm.
it will then in turn make the community stronger because we know what we're able to accomplish when working together. We just got to get together and we got to take care of each other. And we know that we can make our community in Northeast Ohio stronger when working
Yep.
together because of the skill sets that we do have. So, kind of went off on a tangent there,
Oh, no,
but that,
no.
that
Yeah.
that transition, this can help with it. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that there's many different organizations out there that are doing it, but come hit me up on Saturday and describe to me what you want to do, and we can connect
Yep.
you with those, the demographics. And I've seen the different organizations and the age groups. And a Reverend Warriors was a little bit younger of a group. So if like you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for your common bond within a certain age demographic, a Reverend Warriors is that for you. And then it goes up from there. But there's also like good people across a lot of diverse spectrums that we've met and that we're looking to help women. There's a
Yep.
strong push to get women veterans together from our women veterans, that there is a women's empowerment, um, veterans or women veterans empowerment, just on 9/11 from Mission Continues, which is another great organization that provides a
Yes.
lot of volunteering. So when you talk about getting out and that transition, hit us up. And I'm going to continue to find ways, and I know that you're going to do the same, to
Yes.
find ways to allow people to be themselves and find that greater mission.
And I'm glad you brought up women veterans too, because that was some of the statistics that I forgot to mention earlier. Suicide among women veterans actually has dropped over the last 5 years, and I take that to be because they're getting more acknowledgement now. than they did maybe 5 years ago, especially in instances of sexual harassment and sexual abuse. They're finally being heard, actions finally being taken against the people who've committed these crimes against them. They're also getting the mental health help that they were not even being offered, let's say 3-4 years ago. Um, it's groups that you just mentioned reaching out to women veterans to start their own groups, their own uh, way of creating the camaraderie that they that are missing from being in the military. So I got to give kudos to women veterans big time, because one, you're starting to look after each other. Two, you're finally getting the help that you need. And three, your suicide numbers have dropped drastically. So thank you for looking out after each other. Because when I go to the VA for my doctor's appointments, the women veterans seem to always huddle together. They talk to each other. If one is like, hey, this is my first time here, the other women will wait until they come out of their appointment to make sure that their appointment went the way it was supposed to go with their doctors. And they're given they're learning how to support each other outside the military. So kudos to you women. I wish us men would be able to learn that and do that, because you walk into Wade Park and I guarantee you, you're not seeing very many male veterans talking to each other in the waiting rooms. We're sitting next to each other, but we're not talking to each other. But the women do. So now Saturday, let me pull this up here. Actually, let me do it this way. There we go. All right, Rally Against Suicide this Saturday, September 23rd. Free food, music, plenty of activities, and there will be organizations there with resources to help everybody. And Matt here has done an awesome job in helping get this set up. And our goal, one of the goals here, is to end the stigma of mental health. Mental health is not bad, people. Mental health is good. I know I get counseling. I'm not ashamed to admit it. When I first started getting counseling, yeah, you know, kind of got prodded and joked about and bullied a little bit about getting mental health, but hey, it helps me. I know it can help you folks. And anything else you want to add there, Matt?
I did forget one organization that I just remembered, or obviously Veterans Assurance Network, but sit means sit will also be on hand, and they're an organization that has service dogs
Ah,
and will come out to most events to offer their services. So that's not just a veterans organization, but I believe they do offer training too for dogs. But they're a multifaceted organization that
mm-hmm.
I got to meet at one of the wellness fairs that the Cavaliers had. And so another person, our wellness coordinator, Lauren Dick, she put that together for us. And she kind of was like, she reached out to a few organizations and was able to secure that. And she does a wonderful job looking out for all of us at the Cavaliers and the things that she offers and does. So she's also been behind the scenes helping and guiding. So thank you to Lauren as well. But
Oh yes,
yeah, but to wrap it up and just say, we're going to have a lot of fun.
yes we are.
And if you need any of the resources, please come on down and interact with our vendors that are here to help. And if you want to be part of the free hugs, uh,
Yes,
give some hugs, make some signs, spread positivity across the greater Cleveland area. Take a sign, make it, put it in your car. Words of encouragement, words of affirmation. Tell people you appreciate them, and just make people feel good. And you don't know how far your positivity can carry.
That's right. And kudos for getting Sit Means Sit to come. I was just researching them here just the other day. I'm trying to convince my wife Marcy to let me get a service dog because of all the traveling that I know I will be doing here soon. I think one will help when I'm traveling alone. One will put her at ease that yes, he's going to get taken care of. Two, um, I know if something starts to go wrong, the dog will know and be able to alert somebody. Uh, so thank you, Sit Means Sit for joining us this coming Saturday. And folks, I hope you come out. I really do. This is going to be a fun event. And if anything, play a little cornhole, some giant Jenga with your kids, eat a hot dog. If anything else, eat a hot dog. Then you can go on to the Pickle Fest or go stand in line to get into the Browns game. All right, Matt, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. If you could
Thank
hang
you.
on after we go off the air here for a minute, and we'll catch up for a minute. And all right, folks, remember September 23rd, this Saturday, Rally Against Suicide, Willard Park. If you're not familiar with Willard Park, it's the free stamp park in downtown Cleveland. Plenty of parking there. There's a huge parking garage right next to the park. City Hall's right next. The federal building's right across the street. There's plenty of parking. So come on down, have some fun, and we'll see you Saturday.